listen up, guys. We know that sometimes, it doesn't all line up. And if it happens to be, to that point, we don't want you to pout. We don't want to see you pouting around here. Okay. We don't care if you miss a few shots. We want you to get back and play defense. But first, and most importantly, we want you to get this bread. And my guy, Mike, is joining me in studio right now to help you do that for a Wednesday slate. Let's do it. Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that that one and done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. And we are powered by the ever-expanding galaxy's greatest website, and that is drroto.com. I'm your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich, and I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train, formerly Green Screens Media train. See, I'm still getting into the habit. We're doing okay, though. We are doing all right with it. Welcome to One and Done, and welcome to my guy, El Capitan himself. He's the captain of the One and Done ship. He does the ship, I do the train. We'll tell you about all the rest later on. El Capitan himself at MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do, baby?
What up, man? What about these prize pools, man? I haven't been able to get my hands on some of these top prizes, but we've been seeing tonight was what, 20K to first on probably one of the most ridiculous slates I've seen in a long time. I don't think any stud got there. So just kind of one of those random nights. Of course, we had 10K to first the other night. So, man, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next, 3-4 weeks. We're going to, hopefully be seeing some green screens from all of our people in the chat as we have Jeremy saying, what up? What's up, Jeremy, man? Hope you're doing well. And, yeah, man, we got a nice little 7-gamer trying to win 5K tomorrow. So looking forward to that one and excited to kind of break this thing down. As Josh says, yeah, 211 on DK, 165th place, $40. It was so bad. Like it was such a terrible, terrible slate today. Never seen so many snow emojis. So if you just played absolutely crazy today, and that's what you have to do when you play these like 20,000, 10,000, like you can't just play the things that make sense because that's never how it works, right? So
no, not usually
when you start getting that many teams involved.
Yeah, it sure does, Mike. But that's what we're here to try to do. We're here to try to break this thing down. We are here to try to what is it on this Wednesday one? What's the big prize? 5K first. Yeah. Hey, that's not too shabby on a 7-gamer. On a midweek 7-gamer, to say the least. So, Mike, after everybody hits all those like and subscribe buttons, of course, because that is super important, and that's how we're going to let you get in that chat tonight. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's going to give you access to our live chat, so you can ask Mike all the questions that you want to, because that's how you're going to get this bread. So make sure you push all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells. Get over to YouTube if you're hanging out with us on X. Of course, we love everybody that hangs out with us on X, but of course, we would love it if you came over here like Scott did. Our guy Scott Harris hanging out over here on YouTube with us. So make sure that you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Mike, we got a 7-gamer on a Wednesday, and like you said, this is just one of those where you got to figure out a way to approach it with a couple of totals that stand out. But what's going to be your approach to this slate?
Yeah, well, this is I got excited. I saw a couple of totals in the 160s, and then I saw Vanderbilt as part of it, and I beat up Kentucky, and some of the more volatile plays that we have every slate on Oregon, and then I was kind of a mess all the time without Freeman in the middle. So yeah, I mean, these totals are really nice. You've got a stinker in here with the 126 total, Cincinnati and West Virginia. We do have some peso spots for NC State. Notre Dame, this Nebraska, Penn State, they're max price that we'll talk about. But a bunch of injury news we're looking out for. Pricing's pretty tough, although you have value, but like the studs are missing They aren't there. They were all on tonight's slates. So we're not going to have Braden Smith, Hunter Dickinson, Raynaud, Cam Jones, like Janai Broom. All those guys are not on this slate. So yeah, we'll have the value. It's just, man, do you want to spend all the way up for like a 10K Bryce Williams? So it's yeah, it's going to be a tough slate. I'm looking forward to it, man. This is you're going to have to find ways to get a little bit different, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, it's fun to break those down sometimes, and sometimes it's not as fun to see the results. But hey, that's why we're here to do it. You got to, you got to risk it to get the biscuit, as they say, and that's what we're here to do here on One and Done. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can interact with us in the live chat. And if you're watching later, make sure you leave a comment in that comment section as well. All right, ladies and gents, broskies and broskettes, our first game on this 7-game slate, Nebraska at Penn State, a 151-point implied total here. And of course, broskies and broskettes of basketball understand that all these numbers and all these metrics that we use are KenPom. So if you look at some of these spreads that might come across the screen, that might not necessarily be what you find in your book, but it's according to projected totals in KenPom, and that's sort of how we gauge, how we approach some of these games. So Nebraska at Penn State, a 151-point implied total, 76 of those implied to Nebraska, who is a 1-point favorite on the road, according to KenPom's metrics. Penn State giving the old Cornhuskers a pace up here. And they've also not exactly been lights out on defense, given 38% from three, Mike, and 55.5% from two during Big Ten play are the Nittany Lions. So stock opportunity here for Nebraska. Penn State turns it over a ton and gets their shot blocked on 10% of possessions, which is horrific. Nebraska rebounding opportunity as well. Penn State is bottom 3 in the conference on the glass. So, Mike, overall, all of those things, that's a lot of words to tell you that this is a pretty good spot for Nebraska.
Yeah, and then you look at the pricing on Nebraska, and there should be fantasy points galore, but 10K Bryce Williams is not that exciting. That's a big number for him. So it's max price here. I don't know that I'm going to get there in tourneys for Bryce Williams. I know Ace Baldwin hasn't been, he's obviously been a little limited this year. And obviously I think Bryce is going to see some on-ball action from Ace Baldwin. So he looked good, obviously, the other day. We'll talk about him in just a second, but that doesn't excite me. Bryce does have really nice rates across the board. There's a reason why he's 10K. So just need a little more upside for tournaments at this price tag. But yeah, he's going to play 37 plus minutes. I mean, he's going to play the whole game. Essentially, he's going to take a bunch of shots. He's got rebounding upside as his size. He's got assist upside. So yeah, I mean, he profiles nicely outside of like getting the Ace Baldwin treatment, which, like I said, hasn't been too detrimental to teams this year. But yeah, I don't know, man. Probably not for me. And then you look at like Juwan Gary, who's like their second option, and he just got a $700 price increase. I think he is a little interesting for tournaments because he's not at this like ridiculous, 10K, right? He's going to play 33 to 38 minutes, depending on foul trouble. He does have 35 plus fantasy point upside if he's making his 3-pointers. So I find Juwan Gary a little interesting in tournaments. And then Andrew Morgan at 4,200, 22.5 fantasy points, 25.25 in the last 2 games that he started. So the minutes haven't been there, which is a little bit of a concerning. So a little bit of a boom bust option, but he's giving it to you in the minutes that he is out there. So yeah, I mean, he's one of the better value forwards on the slate. So I think people will go right back to the well with Andrew Morgan. But outside of that, man, like, I don't want to play Worcester. Like, I don't like a Seagen. I don't know. Chat, let me know what you're doing in Nebraska, because like this is a nice total. There's a lot of opportunity here, but those price tags on Gary and Bryce Williams make it a little bit tough since they soak up all the usage.
That's a good spot for the Cornhuskers for sure. On the other side, Penn State here, 75 implied points. So should have some fantasy goodness all around in this one, right, Mike? I mean, when you look at the advantages that Penn State will get in this matchup, it's a 3-ball boost. Nebraska's giving up 36.5% from 3 in Big Ten play. And then, like this is with Penn State, a lot of times they go as Ace Baldwin goes, right? And the 8,700 at this price tag back up from the 7,700 we saw him at last time out. And that's because he finally destroyed a slate in conference play. We've been waiting on it, Mike. We've been waiting on the Ace Baldwin game. And then we get 46.5 fantasy points in all 40 against Washington. So, I mean, the question here, Mike, is do we buy in at a higher price for that upside? The answer sort of lies in the lack of consistency, I think, that we've seen from Ace Baldwin this year. But again, the solid game environment probably puts him into play in all settings, Mike, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to click 8,700. We just know that he's going to play the whole game. It's kind of tough to pass on. Like, I would rather play 8,700 Ace Baldwin than 10K Bryce Williams. So yeah, I will have him in some tournament lineups. The rest of the squad is just super frustrating. As I think Darren jumping in here talking about YNK here, YKN double bonus press or pass. Yeah, YKN is one of the most volatile plays in DFS land, and 6,900, not for me, man. I mean, he played 34 minutes last game. I thought he would for sure get into foul trouble against Great Osibor. He didn't. Osibor had a really nice game, but I mean, YKN had 31.25 fantasy points in 34 minutes. So shows that he can do it, but really like 31 fantasy points at 7K is not all that exciting for me. So that's probably not for me, honestly, here.
Mike, do you think the price of the Cornhuskers is going up because of the tariffs? I don't think so. Our guy Darren, we got the jokes. Got the jokes, but no, Jamie said the price of eggs are.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Jamie also hopped in a little bit ago saying he watched Iowa State throw down on the Buffs. They needed it.
Yeah.
Dude, did they ever need it? They ever need it? Anyways, good stuff, guys and gals. Yeah, Mike, this is an interesting game environment. Again, like with this, there aren't a ton of totals that we're just looking to be giddy about on this one. So when you find one in the 150s and it's like, okay, how do I get into that one? A lot of volatile options here. Okay. A lot of volatile options here. A couple more maybe on the Penn State side, Mike, before we get done.
Yeah. Zach Hicks is a really solid full play at 6,500. He's going to play 35 minutes. He's going to take a bunch of threes. Just don't know that the tournament upside is there. And then Freddie DeLeon, 4,600. I mean, everybody obviously popped in that Washington game when you go and look at the box score, but I think the thing is, like, he got 29 minutes, which we were concerned about his role. He had scored 21 fantasy points. So I think he's more of a volatile GPP target. I don't know if that role is secure. You got Dominic Stewart really only saw 4 minutes after playing like 17, 18 type minutes. So if Stewart kind of gets those minutes back, then, DeLeon, right, would probably kind of fall back into what that role that we've kind of seen. But an interesting GPP target for sure.
All right, let us know in the chat, guys. Penn State, Nebraska, guys and gals, of course. What are you doing with those? Again, in a slate where you got to find ways to find the value. Is Morgan the guy? Who knows? YKN double, but you know who likes to chase a double bonus is Darren. That guy loves to chase himself a double bonus. And that's okay. I get it. I'm all about it too. I get it. I understand. So good stuff. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Make the subscribe button, most importantly, A, so you can support the channel, and B, so you can hop in that live chat with us tonight because we're cooking. I mean, this is what we do here on One and Done. I mean, Mike is the captain. He's El Capitan, but he's out here cooking. There's that gif of the guy with the big walk, and he's just that's what Mike does. That's what we do here on One and Done, fellas and ladies. Okay, so make sure you hit all of those buttons so you don't miss anything that we're doing. As we move on now to NC State and North Carolina, 147 implied points in this one. First matchup of the year between these two teams. The Tar Heels won on the road 63-61. So, I mean.
Yeah, stinker.
Excuse me. Anyways, Marcus Hill had 29 and 1, and then Ian Jackson had 21 in that one as well. But let's go to NC State here. 68 implied points. 308th in tempo. But of course, UNC, we always love to see UNC on the slate because they're pacing everybody up with their top 25 tempo in the country. NC State, 163rd in bench minutes used. That's not like a double thumbs down, but that's not a good, How about Marcus Hill, though, Mike? 6,700, 36 fantasy points in their first matchup, but hasn't found a way to break that 30 burger since then. And that's probably not going to do it in a tournament anyway, even at that price, Mike, right?
Nah, I never play this guy, which probably means he's a great tournament option because he just whacked them at home. But on the road here, I don't feel comfortable with it. I think Jaden Taylor you look at definitely for cash games. 37 minutes last game. We've been trying to get this guy right all season. Seems like sometimes he'll fall asleep at the wheel. But there's a good right spot here. They played Boston College. He had 35 fantasy points. So of course he gets the $1,000 price increase. Definitely one of the safer plays on the slate and really on this side here. So if he gets it going from the field, I think he can get there in a tourney. So I like him much more at this price tag as a cash play. And then, man, the front court for North Carolina State's been just a mess. So Ben Middlebrooks, he started last game after not starting a few. Brandon Huntley-Hatfield randomly started, played like 17 minutes, had a nice fantasy day. Now he's not really playing any minutes. So here we go. If Middlebrooks starts, this is where UNC's weakness is, and I think Jeremy and Cam, man, if they dive in here, they'll say, yeah, play bigs against North Carolina. It's a winning formula. So 28 minutes is, he's going to project well when you look at the matchup and what he can do. I mean, he had 5 points, but he had 14 rebounds and 3 stocks in this first game. So if he's going to, get 28 minutes, I have a pretty good feeling he's going to be able to crack 4x plus on this one. So I absolutely love him in tournaments. I always get burned by him in tournaments, but I just need him one time to hit. So I'll be playing a lot of Middlebrooks in my tournaments for sure.
One time. Can you hit one time? I don't know. Maybe. 5K flat. I mean, is he going to start? We got to follow that. One of those things, got to follow it all the way up to it. If he starts, slide him in. All right. NC on this side, UNC, North Carolina. Going to benefit from the fact that NC State isn't that great defensively. And that starts with our guy, RJ Davis. 8,900 for the star guard. Hasn't really done much in fantasy, though. Fantasy-wise, I should say, in ACC play. Only 4 games since conference play started. Over 30 fantasy points. He is coming off that big game in Syracuse. So, when you think about that, think about RJ Davis. Think about the totals that we've seen him put up throughout the years, and the fact that we're in the most important part of the season. And hey, that might be that's another show, but RJ Davis is not demise, but his lack of ability to take over in these moments is probably leading to North Carolina's lack of success. He is coming off that big game at Syracuse. And I guess you got to get different. I don't know how many people are going to spend up 8,900 for RJ Davis. And because of that, I mean, what the upside is. He can light it up. So I guess tournament-wise, why not? Especially 78 implied points here. And it's not like there's a ton of other guys on this team that are going to just take over. If anybody's going to have a big night, it's probably RJ Davis.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about this entire team. You just don't know what this team's going to do. I mean, Seth Trimble, he's 7,400. Started the year off really hot. It was 5K, went all the way up to nearly 8K. Then, roll came crashing down, injury, started coming off the bench. They started Ian Jackson. Now he's back to starting. Now his roll's back up. Look, he saw 5 straight minutes over 30 minutes until the last game. So, his role's pretty secure again. But at 7,400, you just don't know if these guys are going to go boom or bust. So, 7,400, tournament only. So is Elliot Cadeau. He'll always be tournament only. This guy, I don't know. He gets in foul trouble more than any guard that I've seen in the last few years. He only played 18 minutes last game. I love him in tournaments, but that's because I like Payne and because we know he can go for 40, 35 fantasy points for sure. And at 6,900, you absolutely love that on this particular slate. So, yeah, I'll play some Cadeau. It's crazy to say Cadeau and Ben Middlebrooks as a 1-1 run is absolutely insane for tournaments because you wouldn't be shocked if you had a combined 18 fantasy points, but there's a real life chance that they go for, they could go for 60 together. So it's just one of those things, man. If you're playing large field tournaments, those are 2 really, really good large field options. Ian Jackson, to the bench the last couple of games. I think it's probably a better fit for him. Get away from RJ Davis a little bit. Davis going to play, 37, 38 minutes, but at least you get some of the other guys off the floor here with them. So, obviously had a really good game. 34 fantasy points in 29 minutes at Syracuse. I mean, there's Jeremy, man. Talk to me, Jeremy. What are we doing here? What are we doing here with North Carolina? I'm playing some Cadeau just because I'm crazy. In these, at least in the large field, I'm not touching him in anything outside of the 5K to first. But I just think for me, it's a little bit tougher matchup. We kind of saw that in the first spot, but the team total on KenPom is almost nearly 80 points. So one of these guys is going to have a really nice game, and if Jackson's going to be popular, if he's going to be popular, it's kind of tough to say I don't want to ride the train, right? Because he could definitely put up 35 fantasy points for sure. So, yeah, I mean, Cadeau and Jackson for sure. I just think Cadeau is just an interesting pivot for $900 more if Jackson's going to be super popular. But, yeah, talking myself into more Ian Jackson as we kind of go through this one.
Live on air, ladies and gents. You saw it happen. We're all talking ourselves into a little more Ian Jackson at 6K flat. No need to worry. Our accountant handles that. Who knows? Is Ian Jackson going to be the guy to go off? Is Ian Jackson going to be the guy to go off? What's the guy?
Cadeau's broken my wallet a lot this year. So
yeah. Well, and that's another thing you could probably say a lot about most of these guys on this UNC side as well. We've all played them.
100%.
We've played them all.
This first matchup was the random game where Jalen Washington went nuts. Like the one game where he went crazy. So I mean, I don't know, man. This has some tournament juice in it, though. I feel like if there's any pace in this game, and North Carolina gets its way at home, this one can get up and down for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff. Keep the live chat rolling. We love to see it. We're going to get to some of these comments as we get throughout the show. Some of the more general ones.
I'm not chasing Jalen Withers, Darren. You can chase Jalen Withers. I'm not doing that. No, thanks.
Let's flash it up there for our guy, Darren, real quick. No Withers for Mike. Okay, you heard it here. No Withers for our guy, Mike. Hey,
play him.
Hey, if you want to chase, I've chased a few things in my life I shouldn't have chased, but that's another story for another show. Okay, let's not go there. Don't go there. Okay, good stuff, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more premium content like this. We love hanging out with everybody here, of course.
Withers had 35. I mean, Syracuse. Look at what Pitt did. GDG tonight went for like 33 fantasy points. You don't think that these North Carolinas were going to go off? I mean, Withers hadn't topped 15 fantasy points in the last 14 games before that. So, no thank you. 45.
No thank you. You're out. Okay, I get you. I get it. All right, good stuff there. NC State and North Carolina in that one. Just that total is just like, do I even want to bother? Somebody's going to go off, though. We know it. So maybe we'll pick it right. We are going to pick it right. What am I talking about? We're chasing commas here on One and Done. And we know that's why you're hanging out with us, chasing commas, getting this bread. So push those like and subscribe buttons. Thanks for hanging out with us on a fine, well, if you're watching live, it's a Tuesday evening, 11:15 on the East Coast. And if you're watching later, it doesn't matter when you're watching. We appreciate everybody that hangs out with us whenever that is. And so many of you have pushed that button recently, and we definitely appreciate that. What are we at now, Mike? What's the sub count now? We're nearing
1369.
1369. Very nice, but don't mind getting off of that up to 1370 here shortly. If somebody could hit that button, we'd appreciate that. And then you can hop in the live chat as well. So do your thing in the One and Done. Do your part. Play your part in the One and Done universe and hit that button. As we move on now to SMU at Notre Dame, a 149-point implied total. Still not getting up into the tippy top here of these totals, but still a couple of interesting teams to say the least. SMU 73 implied points in this one, 89th in tempo, which we like. What we don't like is Notre Dame slower than Christmas at 321st. So SMU is going to try to dictate the pace of this one. And they're also going to try to get inside on Notre Dame because the Fighting Irish have just been getting crushed inside, giving up 57% from two, and they have the worst shot blocking rate in the conference. So go down low. That's the key here. So big boost to SMU bigs. Kevin Miller's questionable in the backcourt, Mike.
The old undisclosed
TBD, if you will, there. So let's start with Matt Cross instead. 8,200 here. Dude is an absolute baller. Hey, guess what, guys? If you don't know, I was trying to push some buttons there for the first couple of games of this show. I was getting through there until our guy Eric the Blue could show up, and now we get the full screen with the bracket bids up there, promo code bread. We'll talk more about that after this game. But Matt Cross, an absolute baller, can fill up the stat sheet. 19% shot rate, 31% rebound rate, 11% assist rate, 2% block, 2% steal, 39% from three, above the Heinrich line there. And I like how he profiles in this spot, Mike.
Yeah, I like playing either Cross or Yigi in basically every tournament lineup, not together, although that is interesting for the large field. But you got, Cross, who has 40 fantasy point upside, maybe even a little bit more in the spot. He can crush them inside and outside. You got, Samet here. One of these front court guys is going to go off, and it's just like pick between the two. Now, obviously, Cross is $1,000 more. The way that Samet gets there is that he can double and beat them up inside. So his shot blocking ability is there. He's got a nice 5% shot blocking rate. I would say his upside's 35 plus. He's gonna play high 20s minutes, where Cross can play kind of mid 30s minutes. So yeah, you have to like both of these guys here for sure. And then this backcourt, I mean, if Kevin Miller's in, I don't think I have any interest in the backcourt at all. I think I have more interest if Kevin Miller is out. I would look at Cario Aquindo at 5,800, formerly of Oregon, formerly of Georgia. Saw big minutes last game, 32. So you like that. If you talk, pencil in for 30 minutes, I think it's interesting. I just much rather attack Notre Dame inside with these bigs. So I think there's a nice opportunity. I don't know who's going to stop these two bigs, and both of them could go off together, which I think is pretty interesting. You're trying to win 5K for sure. So I think we got somebody popping in here in the comments. Mitch 926. Yeah, of course. Core fours are coming, man.
Always, Smitchy. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see you in the live chat there. The Core Four is coming at the end of the show. We're going to run down every single one of these games. You could actually see it up there in the corner of the rundown right after Oregon and Iowa. Good stuff. How about Notre Dame, Mike? Let's go to the other side of this one. SMU 354th in the country in opponent assist rate, so get assist boost there for the old Fighting Irish. The Loco's questionable, Mike, with the wrist. Missed last game with that wrist, so not 100% sure. We're gonna have to just pay attention to one of those injury bits that you talked about in the open that we're gonna have to pay attention to. Love the tempo for Marcus Burton here for Notre Dame, but the price is annoying at 9,500. Put up 30 plus fantasy points in 9 out of the last 10. Huge shot rate, huge assist rate, 36 plus minutes a night. I mean, I think you have to like him in 9,600, man. It's just 9,500, excuse me. It's still annoying. You got to play. I think he's playable in cash and tournaments, Mike, but it's just a little bit annoying. I'd love to get him a little bit cheaper, but wouldn't we all, I guess,
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think he's one of the better spin ups, just the way that this game profiles, right? If they're going to get paced up and man, like you said it, the fact that SMU is 354th in the country in opponent assist rate, and Marcus Burton is live for like 7 to 10 assists right here, and he's going to take 15 to 20 shots. So yeah, like him for both cash and tournaments. I'm with you. Darren's asking about Shrewsbury. It's probably Marcus Burton or nothing for me, even if Alaka's out. Like Shrewsbury is super shot dependent, boom bust potential, right, for tournaments, but he hasn't crossed 30 fantasy points. We can get you to 25, which I guess it's just okay for a tournament, but it just doesn't excite me. Sir Muhammad, I wish they'd play him more minutes. He's 3,600. A secondary value type option if you want to get cute in the larger one. We just play 20-ish minutes, so kind of intriguing, but I'm probably pretty much off of everything here outside of Marcus Burton.
That makes sense. Again, a little bit annoyed with the price, but totally understand why. Like, it's double. Talk about a double bonus, but from assists instead. Like, it's extremely possible. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility in this game for Marcus Burton. So something to think about there at 9,500. Somebody hit that button. 1,370. We appreciate you for doing that. Keep it rolling. How about 1371, 1372? Who's going to be that broski or brosket in basketball and push that button? We're churning out this good content here on the channel, formerly Green Screens Media, because all we do is get green screens. But now it's just one and done college basketball, no matter where you go. At one and done CBB. on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. I always forget TikTok because I'm old. But either one of those, just go follow at What I've Done CBB all over the place. Blue Sky, there's more to it, but you'll be able to find us, over there. But most importantly, get over to YouTube if you're not already there and hit those like and subscribe buttons. But hey, you saw it earlier up on the screen. It's BracketBids. Our friends over at BracketBids are helping us out as well. This will helping us all out by giving us an awesome opportunity to change the approach that we take to March, and that's by not just like there's pick'em contests, which they do have. BracketBids does have. They do have regular old pick'em, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that, and that's free on their website. But what takes it to the next level is that auction league draft setting that you have, where like they did our guys at BracketBids did a post on Twitter, a tweet, I guess, the other day, and it was like, okay, last year, it average, you almost had to spend half of, your money on your teams, half of the money you're spending in that auction to get the number one seed. Would you spend that much to get Auburn because you're so confident that they're going to win it all, or would you find a way to use it other ways? You want to invite all your friends and family, the coworkers that you don't like, invite them in and just show them how it works and show them how it's done by going over to BracketBids. You can choose from multiple scoring models, including upset bonuses that do reward the bold picks in case, you don't just want to go chalk and pick Auburn. Track your teams with live in-game scoring and watch the standings shift in real time. The further your teams advance, the higher you climb in the league standings. Now, here's the most important part that's been scrolling down at the bottom of your screen right there when you get to BracketBids.com or the BracketBids app, is to make sure that you use the promo code BREAD, BREAD, for 40% off of your league activation fees, 40% off with the promo code BREAD. Download the BracketBids app today or visit BracketBids.com and upgrade your March. We love us some BracketBids. Get $1,000 to go in there on an auction and figure out a way to outsmart and outwit. I mean, it's like Survivor, right? Can we say that? Are we going to get trademark infringements for saying it's like Survivor, but for college basketball? That's what BracketBids is. Survival of the fittest in terms of winning that auction league. Outwit, outsmart your opponents. BracketBids is the place to be. Check out the link in the YouTube description to get in the mix. All right. Good stuff there. We appreciate BracketBids. We hope you hang out with BracketBids this March as well. As we now move on to Cincinnati at West Virginia, 126 points. I don't think we're going to spend too much time on this one. Pass on the game with 129 over/under. Yeah, we're speaking the same language here, Darren. Cincinnati only 60 implied points. West Virginia is a top 20 defensive efficiency team, and neither team gets up and down. So, I mean, I guess we could look at a rebounding boost for Cincinnati because West Virginia is just so bad on the glass. But Cincinnati plays too many people, 92nd in bench minutes. So, I mean, are we even messing with Cincinnati, Mike?
I think I got a little interest in Dylan Mitchell and Bondego for tournaments, just because Mitchell's 6,700, right? Like, last game foul trouble, right? But typically we'll play 28 to 30 minutes. So I think he's a little interesting for a large field tournament. I don't have any interest in the guards, man, like Jizzle James, Day Thomas, even Dan Skilling's at 4,400. He's just in such a different role that I'm not paying 4,400 for 16 Dan Skilling's minute in a 60 team total. So I think Dylan Mitchell's kind of interesting. And then Bendogo here at 5,300. He got over 30 minutes when Mitchell was in foul trouble last game. He's typically like a 25-minute guy. So he should have his advantage inside, and he's got shot blocking upside. Both of him and Mitchell have shot blocking upside. So I think he's an interesting GPP target just for the large field stuff, man. But it's pretty much a front court guy or pass pretty much on this entire thing, man. I don't have any interest on this West Virginia side. Do you?
Not even small? I mean, 9,400, right? I mean, it's a floor play, I guess. But in this total, like I totally understand what you mean. Like,
it's like Marcus Burton in a pace up, or you want to play Javon Small. Yeah. It's pretty tough.
It's hard to trust anything on this West Virginia side, and like it's just it would have to be the game of all games for it to pay off.
Yeah, RJ Davis is 8,900 in a 78 team total. It's just like he's a tough click, man. Like I don't. If you win with that, like I will.
Yeah. We'll shake your hand.
Like
You
flash that green screen, dude. Like I got to see it.
Please tag us if you throw Small into your lineup and you pull it down. We would love to see that. Hey, I hope you do. I hope somebody, if it's not us, it should be you hanging out with us here. All the breadheads hanging out on one and done, like Darren, like Snitchy in the chat, like Forklift Jeremy, Jamie M asking the tough questions about Iowa State guys ending up in the NBA draft. Mike, are any of these Iowa State guys, are they guys that we're looking at next level?
I mean, if we count G League as NBA, Curtis Jones, I mean, just because they're always looking for guys that can shoot. He can absolutely shoot it. So,
yeah.
I don't think any of these guys
going
anywhere. There's no Tyrese Halliburton.
No, good bounce back for Iowa State tonight against Colorado. They needed it for sure. But yeah, not sure there's a ton of NBA guys. The G, there's nothing wrong with being in the G.
No, there's not.
Okay, there's nothing wrong about. We could check him out up here in Cedar Park.
Mac McClung.
Watch the 3-time consecutive dunk champion and G League stud Mac McClung. Okay, so let's hey. We talked a little bit about the All-Star festivities the other night, and we're not getting into that. Garbaggio again. Thomas hopping in a little bit late.
Yeah, I would take the point. I would take the points of Cincy. It's going to be an ugly game, and they have an advantage inside. So as long as Mitchell and Bendigo stay out of foul trouble, I mean, they have the guards to contend with West Virginia. So yeah, I would take the points of Cincinnati on that one. They need it too. They're on the bubble. They're not even on the bubble. They're on the outside. They need to win a couple of games to get onto right there the last 4 out. So
thanks, Thomas. Good to hear from you, man. Thanks for hopping in there.
I should say.
Good stuff. Keep them rolling. If we haven't heard from you ever before, even if you just want to throw the fire emoji in there, why
not? 3.5. I like it, dude. When it gets down to that, man, I just lay the money line on it.
Yeah. Either way, good stuff, Thomas. Keep it rolling. Thanks for hopping in there. Let's move on to Providence and Georgetown now. Can we get to some totals, please? Not this one. Not 140 points, though. What are you thinking about this side, Mike? I mean, Pierre and Joseph, 14 apiece in the first game. Sorber went nuts. PV had 27 in all 40 minutes. I mean, what about this Providence side, Mike? 69 implied points. But Georgetown's another good defense, 36 in defensive efficiency. What do you think about Bensley Joseph?
This whole game is going to be the one that makes me pull my hair out. And then I have very little. So,
I'm wearing a hat, so I won't show you mine.
And Darren's kind of onto it, right? Because we got some guys in here that have been frustrating. But you're talking about Bensley Joseph, and I feel like he's the safest guy in this entire game because Sorber is dealing with lower leg injury. So, I don't love that we're at a max price Bensley Joseph at 8K, but 35, 34, 36 in the last 3. I like him for cash. Like, is he viable for tourney? On the road? A little bit tougher. Jaden Pierre is now 7K. No. I will not be touching him in tournaments. That is a no. Absolutely not. Like, he's been better this year. Maybe I just have nightmares from last year trying to jam him in. But you're probably looking at 4X on the road as a ceiling in a tournament. So probably passing on Jaden Pierre. Now, Corey Floyd, that, unfortunately in the traffic accident, questionable. For fantasy, we hope he's okay, right? But for fantasy purposes, right, we kind of want him to miss because then it opens up like these cheaper guys on Providence. So one was mentioned already, Ryan Mella here at 5,100. It's kind of like spin the wheel on whether it's going to be Mella, Barron, or Fernandez, or none of the above. Because there's a flat out chance that none of these guys do anything, but there's a chance too in a tournament that they're on the optimal lineup. So he's come off the bench, played 27 and 33 minutes in the last 2. I think he's a great GPP target, especially if Sorber misses. Which kind of cleans up the inside. 36 and 20, basically 36 and 30 fantasy points in the last couple of games. So definitely have him on my tournament radar here. Rich Barron, he's 4,500 and he's played 30 plus minutes in 4 straight starts. So the Corey Floyd thing doesn't affect him as much. It completely burned us in that St. John's spot. But, he's gonna play 32 minutes, like at 4,500 on this slate. Like we have to be interested, even though his rates are just not good. So he needs minutes to get there. And when he doesn't play minutes, he's going to have 6 fantasy points. So Justin Fernandez, he was the darling the other night when he absolutely crushed Xavier in the first half and then didn't do anything in the second half. But he's 4K. If he's starting, he's kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, Melo is definitely the guy that we want to get to here, Jay. These other two guys, like, yeah, could they be viable? Absolutely. But everything has to go right for Barron and Fernandez in those spots.
Unfortunately, a lot of these guys, it's the story this slate. Like everything has to go right, and it just turns you off from even clicking the name. So I mean, I don't know, dude. Like it's hard to justify it when, like you were saying earlier, there's spend ups in that same tier that you can, or whatever tier you're in. There's so many guys that just have a better, whether it's the matchup, somebody's getting a stock boost or something like that, or assist boost, or the total is just so much better, So yeah, it's totally understandable here. First of all, before we move on to Georgetown, shout out to whoever hit the button for 1,371. Good stuff there. Keep those rolling. Let's get another one before the show's over. One or two more at least. And speaking, we're at 1,371. And 71 are the amount of points that Georgetown is projected to have in this game. Providence is pretty poor defensively. You guys know that. Steals boost for the Hoyas as well. Providence turns it over nearly 1 out of every 5 possessions. So, let's get some freaking steals here. And I think, when you talk Georgetown, there's really no other way to start other than with Micah Peavy. 9,900, and Darren is chiming in saying he's the stud on this slate. And it's hard to disagree because of the upside. He's been crushing, right? We're paying for that now, almost a 10K for PV. You do get the flexibility positionally, so that lets you do a little bit more with whatever you are trying to do in your lineups if you want to. And he brings that 40-plus fantasy point upside, 40 minutes a night for PV. Every single minute he's out there. So he's not just all cardio, though, because, I mean, the rates across the board, including steals, are just ridiculous. So when Sorber is not in, here's another guy that we hope is okay. We hope he's, all good in the long run. But from a daily fantasy perspective, knowing that Sorber would be out, would be interesting. I can't imagine that he's probably not going to play, right? Like
lower leg.
That's probably baked into PV's price a little bit here too. But even if he does, if you recall, Sorber absolutely crushed in that first game, and PV still got his,
Yeah.
So like that's something to think about and consider here as well. PV, great spend up at 9,900.
Yeah, this Georgetown side for tournaments, I think is so interesting. Love PV, especially if Sorber is going to be out. We'll check the news. I mean, I have to have interest in Sorber if he's in, because we saw what he did to these guys last time. If he starts and he's in, like, we're playing him. So we're probably splitting exposure. But makes me like PV a little bit less, right? Even though PV can still get there, but kind of all those, those additional assists and those rebounds that PV can get his hands on probably go to Sorber there. So just kind of interesting to see what happens there. Malik Mack, he always becomes a little more viable at 7, especially when he's 7K. When one of these starters are injured, it seems like every time one of these guys like Epps or Sorber go out, like, he kind of shows up. So just a boom bust tourney option. He can go 5X here for sure. And then Jaden Epps, I mean, he's on the slate. So I'll just say maybe it's the week where we all get paid back, because I told myself I was not going to play GDG, and I'm pretty sure he ended up on somebody winning $20,000 tonight. I'm not even going to look because it'll just make me upset. And of course, Jaden Epps has been burning us, but he comes off the bench against, was it Butler, and he has 30 fantasy points in 27 minutes. So do with that what you will, but he's tournament viable. Tournament only, because he could go for 8 fantasy points, and we'll call it a night in 30 minutes.
Of all the players on this slate, Jaden Epps is one of them. That's for sure. I mean, that's all I can say about Jaden Epps. Yeah, good stuff. Hey, you know what else is good is Ryan hopping in the chat, hopping in late, but showing up regardless. No need to apologize, Ryan. It's always good to see you no matter what. Make sure you do like Ryan and Darren and Thomas and who else? Smitchy is hopped in there. Forklift Jeremy, Jamie M. Do like they all did and hit that subscribe button. We're on the rise. Hop on now. We're going to the moon. So hop on that rocket now before the elevation gets too high, baby. We're going all the way. Why don't you should be able to say you've been along for the ride from the jump street. We got some OGs in the chat tonight. Not too late to be a part of the one and done universe. So push all those buttons, like and subscribe, notification bells. Shout out Eric the Blue for getting done with his other responsibilities, whatever media he was doing, hopping in and pushing buttons now at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. And then you got our guy, CC Hustle, Nape doing stuff behind the scenes as well, hopping in the host chair, doing things all over the place for us on the socials. So shout out to Nape as well. At One and Done CBB everywhere. Do your thing. So like, subscribe, push them all. Just do it. Push the buttons. And get over to BracketBids.com or download the BracketBids app too for 40% off of your league initiation fees with the promo code BREAD, BREAD. We love BracketBids, and we love it even more if you hung out with them as well. So promo code BREAD at BracketBids. Time for some big blue tears, Mike, as we talk about Kentucky. Vanderbilt visiting town here. We do like this total, Mike. I'm not even – I was going to try to be a smart ass about it and try to say something funny, but just going straight into it, this is the total we've been waiting on, 169 points here. And Vandy won the first one, if you recall, and I know Big Blue Nation recalls. Vanderbilt won that one at home, 74-69. What's that?
Remember, nobody got there because they didn't hit 170. It didn't even come close.
Yeah, not even close. We were anticipating, and does that make you feel like, Mike, this one might get a little more interesting at Kentucky?
This is kind of the same spot that
the other way, or
kind of the same spot that North Carolina State was in. It's like this game should have gone a lot higher, and it didn't. But yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt's implied for 80.
Ole had a big one in that first one for Kentucky. McLaughlin had 14, 6, and 2 for Vandy. Edwards had 18 points as well. Let's start with Vandy. You said at 80 points implied there. Both teams are top 65 teams in tempo. Kentucky's 29th, Vanderbilt's 62nd, so we love that. What we don't love, and what we do love, I guess, from a fantasy perspective, because those raw points are coming, because they can't stop anybody at all. Kentucky really can't stop anything unless these two teams are like going up against each other, it feels like. And then all of a sudden it's just
every Kentucky game's like 90 to 85.
It's a friggin'
the one game it's chalk.
Yeah, it's friggin' track meet here. Should be anyway. But Mike, what we don't like, and this might be the first double thumbs down of the night here, is Vandy is unfortunately 32nd in bench minute. I knew I'd get it. I knew I'd get the double thumbs out of you. Let's start with McLaughlin. I talked about him earlier. 14, 6, and 2 in the first matchup for Vanderbilt. 6,600 on this slate. And just like everyone else on the team on that Vandy side, he's super volatile, okay? Typically, McLaughlin and Hoggard have the safest floor in minutes on this side. But McLaughlin has that upside. 31.5
if you played 35 minutes
in that first matchup. Okay, you beat me to it. Like, what? We can't get into that right now. I don't have enough energy to talk about why another player isn't playing the type of minutes he should be playing, and why a team like Vanderbilt feels the need to play 46 guys. But McLaughlin's versatility is sort of something that could give Kentucky fits, Mike, and I think that's what sort of singles him out for me on this side. Anybody stand out to you for Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I don't like anybody. So
okay.
And part of why is because Darren's trying to talk me into carry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not playing him.
6,300? No.
I'm a tournament player, and I'm not gonna play. Like, if he's gonna be popular, I want no part of this guy. Like, zero part. I get it. Like, he busted up Tennessee twice. Like, he crushed Texas, which, whatever. I don't know. 6,300. Like, if he's gonna be 40%, which the optimizers that people use and that people pay for and stuff, they're going to have this guy at 27 to 28 minutes, and he's probably going to be 4 or 5X. And actually, I want to check one right now. Let's look. So we have I don't ever use this one, and we don't ever really talk about it on air, but RotoWire has the other free optimizer. And there he goes. 5.5X at 29 minutes. 5.5x. Like, not. He's their highest point per dollar player. And he could literally put up 25 fantasy points and no one would be. I get it, right? The profile against Kentucky, it's like McLaughlin and him could probably do some damage, and he is a nice fantasy point per player. My problem is that if he's popular, I don't want to play him. So hey, if he goes for 35 and I'm not buried, right? If other things happen in the slate, but like, I just don't know that he has a path to like 40, 45 at the spot, which it's, mid sixes is what really kills you in a tournament. So
can both of these guys get off? Can McLaughlin and Carey both get there?
No,
Like,
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Because there's the amount of guys that are playing, even in this total, the pace is there. Like, there's gonna be plenty of possessions, but just too many guys, not enough minutes. Because obviously at these prices, that's what it's cooked in, right? They're limited. Their ceilings are limited, obviously, because of that, and that sucks. You look at a team total like this, and I said we're looking forward to it, but it's hard to get into the Vanderbilt side. What about the Kentucky side? 89 implied points for the Wildcats. Obviously, we said they didn't even sniff these totals in the first one. Kentucky doesn't stop anybody, but neither does Vanderbilt, allowing 41% from 3 and 57% from 2. That's like basically you and I are going out there and getting 5 points.
Yeah. I mean, they don't stop anybody. They don't.
Vandy doesn't stop anybody.
Until they go 74-69 again.
Yeah, exactly. And that, obviously I don't think it can lightning strike twice there. I don't think it's going to happen necessarily. But Kentucky, 89 implied points, and that's with Butler and Robinson both out. Both of them out. Yeah. Those ball handlers, those distributors. What's going to go on in the backcourt? I'm not starting there, even though I love that backcourt play. I'm going to start with our guy Amari Williams. 9,200. He had 42 fantasy points in 26 minutes at Texas last game. He just came up 4 points short. That was a game that Kentucky, nobody would have been surprised if you watched that, if Kentucky would have found a way to win that. That speaks a lot about Texas's quality as well. But 42 fantasy points for Amari Williams in that one. And he struggled against Vandy the first time. So again, is that another situation where things are aligning the same way? Not quite sure. The offense has to go through him, though. He's that hub 5, right? No Butler, no Robinson. It's going to go through him. So we're paying for it, right?
Yeah, now you're paying for it.
We're paying for every bit of that now. $1,000 increase from the last time out, but that 40-plus fantasy point upside still hasn't been turned into consideration.
Yeah, and he's got to do it in, 27 minutes? So that's another thing. If he fouls, you're in trouble. So, yeah, you start talking about 9,200. Maybe that depresses his ownership. I don't know. I think people will see all those guys out and then they're like, okay, well, what did you do last game? Oh, well, then we just have to play Amari Williams, right? So I find to take a away for $400 cheaper, and not just because he crushed in the first game, but because he's been so involved the entire year offensively, and he has high steal upside. He's got rebounding upside with those guys out too. So Kobe Brea at 6K is also another interesting play. So I'll be using some Owe and Brea pretty much in every tournament lineup. I think Brea is sneaky for tournaments. I think he could hit 6 or 7 threes in this one and get hot. So that price tag, right, is pretty annoying, but he's got to be on the floor for, 30 plus minutes here, man. So yeah, I take Owe and Kobe Brea, definitely interesting for that large field tournament. So, they don't have Robinson and Butler who take a lot of shots for this team, especially so that's a lot of their offense. And Brea was 0 for 6 last game against Texas, 4 boards and 3 steals. He's live to hit 4 or 5 3-pointers in this type of pace and go for 28, 30 fantasy points, which would be 5x. So yeah, interest in him as a mid-tier tournament option for sure. And there's Travis Berry, 3,600, the freshman, played 28 minutes against Texas, was decent. I think he's more of your cash value play because you're probably going to get 25 to 28 minutes safely for 3,600. But he's not going to be featured in the offense because, like you said, there's a hub 5 that they have with Amari Williams. That was his role last year, the last 2-3 years at Drexel. He's going to play off of that elbow. He's going to facilitate the offense from Travis Berry. Will literally walk the ball down the court, and then the offense will go through Amari Williams. So, I don't know that his tournament upside is 25 fantasy points, right? But I think he's safe for cash, and he'll get you, 13 to 14 fantasy points at 3,600. So I don't think he's going to win a tournament or anything by any means.
Not a bad option though. If you're getting down to it, you figure you want to spend up here. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is the Janai. Well, yeah.
I
What if he played
do
34?
imagine Williams playing 30-plus minutes a night. I often
We
do
did that
in
with
my
Edie,
dreams.
Broom. We'll do it with all these guys. And then it
Just
happens and they become national players of the year.
Yeah, it's shocking, right? You can drive yourself crazy just waiting on it to happen, though, and then all of a sudden it happens, and you're like, ah! But Travis Perry, you could do worse at 3,600, trying to finish out a lineup for sure. Especially, he's gonna play. But like Mike said, probably going to be hard to lean on him for just, it's not going to be, he's not the guy when he's out there. Another player where if everything bounces his way, because he's down on the floor, you could trip over a couple of steals and stuff like that and hit a 3 or 2 or whatever and pay it off real quick. But we'll see how it goes, and we will see how the live chat is rolling. Oh, Darren. Okay. All right.
Talking about your Jayhawks, dude. Your Jay Heinrich. Your cousin, dude.
My guy Kirk. Kansas going to stay in the top 25. Hey,
no.
That's a big hard.
They lost to BYU.
And they shouldn't. What was the final score there tonight?
I think that's their 9th or 10th loss. I think it's number 9. Yeah, they're just not good.
And like 6 out of their last 9 games too, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Where they've just been like they're not playing good.
No.
What was that? Look at 57, 91 to 57 tonight. I mean, Dickinson had 12 and 14, and then something called David Coit had 11 points. So there you go. That's why Kansas is
of Northern Illinois fame, David Coit.
The only other Jayhawk in double figures.
What are we doing?
Well, not winning.
He's the only other Jayhawk in double figures.
That's it.
They scored 57 tonight. I guess started preparing for the show before the kind of the late slate started. So
Griffin had 9, and nobody else had more than 6.
Wow,
it's not good.
Anyway,
is this another one of those teams that we're going to hear Bill Self say that he gave up on in January because he knew that the team had no chance to make it deep in the tournament, like that sort of a thing? Like honestly,
I don't know what's going on.
It's playing out that way this late.
They're gonna have a decent seed though because they have a win over Duke, they have a win over Michigan State, so they'll be okay. But now they're playing themselves into a 4-5 spot and having to face a 1 seed in the second round. So it's kind of
they're gonna win a couple more games. They'll get a couple of decent ones under their belt, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if they were no higher than a 5. Like they got to win.
They're 6 or 7. They didn't win.
Yeah, if they don't win down the stretch, if they lose a couple more, if they trip up a couple more times, like you're talking a 7. And who wants to play Kansas?
Kansas win the
Who wants to play Kansas in the second round as a 7 seed? What a draw that would be. Can't wait for it. Could Kansas win the NIT? I don't know.
I don't think they would accept.
Too good for that, huh? Who's not too good for that? Texas, when they went in that NIT year. They hung that banner in the Irwin Center, didn't they? I'm sure.
Or Seton Hall, and then all their guys transferring.
Yeah, that really worked out, didn't it? Hey, let's get to this last game, Mike. Everybody's hit those like and subscribe buttons by now, and if they haven't, you should. So especially so you could hop in the live chat with these fine gentlemen and gentle ladies. No ladies in the chat tonight, I don't think. But that's okay. Darren, Ryan, who else? Thomas in there as well. Good stuff. We love seeing the live chat flowing like it is, and we love getting to the last game of the slate, which is Oregon and Iowa. 163 implied points here on this one. Oregon slightly favored according to Ken Palm's metrics here on the road. And let's start with the Ducks, 82 points implied. Iowa pacing them up. Iowa's a top 26. That's weird to say. I was hoping they were top 25. I knew they were 20 something, and then I looked down and it's 26. So anyways, 26th in tempo. So the Ducks are getting a pace up here, but they're not too shabby themselves at 135th in tempo. You like the pace that Iowa brings to any game, and if you're against them, if you're on the opposite side of the court, you also like the defense that they bring because they don't.
It's so bad.
They just don't. This is the opposite of the football program where they're just gonna, drag you through the mud for 4 quarters. No, this team's not gonna play any defense. They give up 39% from 3, 59% from 2. Another game where Mike and I could probably get a couple of buckets if we were playing against Iowa. And that's what the Ducks are. And their young leader, at the point. Jackson Shellstad, 7,500, the guard. Solid cash play. You know, this is like Caleb Love light, where he can shoot them out of the game. Because if he's not on, he's not on. You know, but when he's on, you get the Shellstad game, Mike, and it's happening. You know, 33 or 37 minutes a game, so you know he's going to be out on the floor if he's not fouling. He's going to give you the assists. He's going to give you the steals, and you know he's going to shoot the hell out of the ball. I don't know if it's good shots necessarily all the time, but the volume's going to be there, right? Like, I've been on Shellstad since the jump, before he even stepped on campus. Go back and check the tapes. I love the explosiveness. I love what he brings. I want him to just like take half a second more on some of these decisions that he's making. He's a solid player with 35 fantasy point upside in this matchup, Mike. And it's just, you know, which Shellstad are you going to get?
Yeah. And Ryan thinks we're getting the 40 to 45 maybe because he's fantasy cheap. Yeah, I mean, Iowa gives it up. So, I mean, it's just one of those. I mean, both teams applied for over 80. So it seems like every hammer we have, it's like every final game on the slate is like the best one to get into. So Shellstad, I don't know how popular he's going to be because you have Nate Biddle, $200 cheaper. Like you can play both together. But the Biddle's kind of like Amari Williams. Like he plays 27 minutes, but he's going to throw up 30, 35, 40, get 42 fantasy points in 28 minutes against Rutgers. And Rutgers profiles pretty similarly to Iowa. They profile pretty similarly to Iowa. So, yeah, Nate Biddle for tourney, I think he's going to be pretty popular, which is going to be annoying because he is a boom bust guy. But yeah, have to like Biddle here. And the TJ Bamba, maybe going a little overlooked here. I think he's more suited for cash just because that tourney upside's limited when you have Shellstad and Biddle just carrying the load here. But I think he's kind of interesting. If you want to get different in the tournament, you could. I would think that you'd play TJ Bamba in more of a double up type setting because you can play 31 minutes. He's going to take, 10 shots or so. He's going to produce some assists, some rebounds, poke out a steal or two. So yeah, those big three for them. I mean, don't mind them at all. And then Jay, this Iowa side, like it's been kind of a mess because, we had the injury to Owen Freeman. Now Dellwell's probable. So it's just kind of,
yeah,
they're going to score some points, but like what's going to happen here?
Dellwell's been out the last 2 games. As a matter of fact, good to see him back on the good side of the injury report here. He's most likely going to play. The Hawkeyes are going to get a 3-ball boost here. Oregon's another team that just gives up a ton of threes. Oh my God, Darren.
Double Sanford. Let's go,
Sanford
dude.
Stack. Sanford and Sons. Is that what you're going to call that lineup?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's kind of viable.
Well, honestly, I know you're going to break down this side, Mike. And again, in a night where you're probably going to have to get different, why not throw a lineup in there with the old Sanford stack, man?
I mean, you got Peyton. Obviously, you can go for 40, 45. And this is the type of environment where he goes for 40, 45. But he's got to make his threes. And he's got to have got to get some rebounds too, man. That's when he has his biggest upside. So yeah, don't mind him. Josh Dix. I get Dellwell's back. We put Josh Dix in our core the other night. I think he had all of like 5 fantasy points. It felt like 5 fantasy points. So here's the deal. When we put out our tournament cores, it's like these guys could literally just kill your lineup or they can win you the lottery. So you have to be aware of that whenever we throw those things out there. But yeah, was it less than 10 fantasy points? Yeah. But he's put up 60. He's put up 40 a couple of times in conference play. So let's not act like he doesn't have boom bust potential for a tournament. So I think he's really sneaky too, because with Dellwell back, I don't think anybody will ever click his name on this slate. So yeah, I'll click his name a few times. You got Price Sanford at 4,700. Been getting more minutes recently. I think they're going to want to develop him for next year. So 4,700. Yeah, you could play him, but he's very like shot dependent. So yeah, 4,700. You could definitely see him getting 20 plus fantasy points in this spot. And Sadie Traore, 4,600. More of a secondary value option, it feels like now. If he hasn't really shown that. I'm still gonna. I wouldn't say secondary. I think he's game stackable, and you can play 5 guys in this entire game, right? And he's one of them, right? Like the last game was a blowout, so it's hard to kind of count that. He's still got 21 fantasy points, only played 18 minutes. So if he plays high 20s minutes, yeah, he's going to start to be optimal for sure. So Snable said he finally clicked Dix the other night. Yeah, it wasn't a fun roster. But that's what you have to do in tournaments, man. Like you click the guys that are going to be, like an Elliot Cadeau. Like the odds of it happening are low, but that's what makes you ladder up when they have their 8x game, like when they have their 7x game for sure. So. Yeah, I think Sadie's decent. He should play 25 plus minutes here, and he get you 20 plus fantasy points. So yeah, Sanford, Traore, hell, you could legit play both Sanford's, Dix, and Traore together in this spot. This game's gonna get up and down, like just is. You can run it back with Biddle. You can play 6 guys in this spot in the launch field. Honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna do it, but it's feasible.
It is. Do the stack. Why not? Throw a lineup in there with the Sanford stack, okay? Why not? You heard it from Darren first, and if it doesn't work, then you know who to go for. It's Darren. No, seriously though, like why not? You're gonna mass multi-entry a lot of this stuff, and finding ways to get different from the fields, and it's not always just gonna be what it appears to be. If it was that easy, right? Sometimes you got to get wild, a little crazy. 13.2K stack for the Sanford brothers. Why not? Do it. What's the before we get to the core 4, what's the hoodie you're rocking tonight? Oh, yeah, you actually good job, man. Good eyes. It's the All-Star hoodie from quite a few years ago. But despite how much trash I talk about the NBA, I did used to care a little bit about it. I can't. I got into a philosophical NBA discussion today at work that we don't have time for, but it's just it ain't the same. It ain't my NBA anymore. Okay, that's okay. Good stuff, Darren. Good eyes on that. Good shout.
Russell Westbrook ruined it.
That's your boy. What do you mean? It's Mike's boy, Russell. Mike Holland favorite. Russell.
If you type in Russell Westbrook rebounds at YouTube, you'll see all these games where he gets the free throw and he literally the bigs literally move out of the way and let him come in and grab the rebound.
You see, I avoided going down that rabbit hole.
We used to be a proper country where the bigs wanted the rebounds.
Not anymore.
That's why we cover college basketball. The bigs get the rebounds.
That's why we're talking college, baby. Good stuff there.
Oh, dude, Ryan is trying to set me off before we end the show. I will go.
Yes, Ryan.
He has no idea how I feel about Russell Westbrook.
I think he's getting
great competitor. I would say he's top 5 all time as far as competitiveness. I'll give him that. I just think he's a terrible efficiency. Imagine him on Ken Palm.
All right. Just before midnight on February
30% turnover
18th,
rate,
February
97
18th,
offensive rating.
Mike paid Russell Westbrook a compliment. We're gonna mark it down in history, and we're gonna move on now before Mike goes down any more Russell Westbrook rabbit holes, because we have to get to the core 4 and more. Of course, our guy Smitch was asking about it earlier in the chat, and the Core 4 is brought to you by BracketBids. Download the BracketBids app today or visit BracketBids.com. Make sure you use that promo code BREAD for 40% off of your league activation fees. Make sure you check out what they're doing. We love BracketBids. We hope you do too. Promo code BREAD for 40% off. We appreciate them for sponsoring the Core 4. That's what you're here for, right? We have gone from double-double to triple-double, like Darren said, and we're going to the cash core first. I like to do the cash core, and I'm going to start with Ace Baldwin, 8,700 for Penn State. He plays all 40 minutes, great game environment, so plug Baldwin in. Bensley Joseph for Providence, 7,900. Big minutes, does everything for this team. Again, we're talking cash games right now, right? We're talking floors, we're talking consistency, we're talking about double-ups, we're talking about those kind of, cash games that are going to help you just get in the money, right? And Bensley Joseph can help you do that at 7,900. Jaden Taylor for NC State, 6,400. Pace up spot against UNC. And then I was really, Mike, from a tournament perspective, Mike wasn't just selling me the farm when it came to Travis Perry. I like him in a cash core here, 3,600 off of your salary there. 25 minutes at a low price, great game environment. Why not for Travis Perry at 3,600? That leaves you $5,850 per player remaining to get crazy and help you get this bread. Mike, let's close it out with the tournament core for a little bit different approach, obviously, right? The cash core, we take a little bit more conservative approach. We think about floors. We think about who can help us, just steady eddies. Now, tournament play, we're trying to chase those commas, a little bit different approach. So how are you approaching this tournament? 5K to first here on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, what's the best way to get into this slate? Is 170 implied total, right? So if we expected to get that Kentucky game, I think Amari Williams is interesting, obviously, at that price tag of what, 9,200, but I'll take a OA at 8,800. Is definitely a guy that I like for tournaments because I think he's going to get overlooked because you have Amari Williams at 9,200. I think either one of them definitely playable in tournaments, or Micah Peavy nearly 10K. I think he's safe for cash or tournaments, and then Matt Cross or Yigi. One of those two is going to go off against that Notre Dame front court. I like Cross because he has like 40 fantasy point upside at 8,200. It's nearly 5x. Yigi at 7,200 is definitely solid too if you need to save $1,000. So if you're playing like a PV instead of an OA, or like a Williams instead of $400 more, you need to find some change. You can go down from Cross to Yigi. Biddle at 7,300. I think he's going to be super popular, but I mean, he should absolutely smash that front court of Iowa. I think you could either play him with a Josh Dix we talked about. I think he's kind of interesting too. And then down here in the value plays, there are some guys under 5K, right? But I think for ceilings like Jaden Epps, it's tough. Like you get to 5,100, and you're talking about a guy that has 30 to 35 fantasy point ceiling. Same with Ryan Mella, and we've seen it. Epps a lot more volatile. Mella like playing well recently, but we've seen him fall off a cliff. So yeah, we're talking about guys like this who could put up 2.5x. It wouldn't be shocking. We're talking about guys that could win you a tournament and go for 6-7x, 5.5 on this type of slate. So yeah, that leaves you 5,150 per player. You have to go out and get another value play, kind of attack that mid again, or try to find two more value plays to go with it. Sometimes you can mix up some of these cash guys, right? Where you want a guy with a safer floor, like a Travis Perry. You get two Kentucky guys. So yeah, just mixing and matching, man, trying to find the right combination to get it done.
Yeah, remember too, these core fours are like baseline players to try to start your lineups with and start to tinker around. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to play all of them. If you can, great. If you can find a way to do it. But these are the sort of players that we're honing in on our cash and tournament lineups respectively to sort of get things rolling. And speaking of rolling, it's time to roll on out of here. Good stuff there, Mike, breaking down that slate for a Wednesday. 5K to first is the big contest. We're chasing commas here on One and Done, and we hope you are too. Some new chatters tonight in the old Chatty McChatterson live chat. Always good to see some fresh names, and of course mixed in with our OGs, our day ones as well. Hopping in there tonight was Darren, getting back in and saying us, thanking for taking the time to, of course, man. That's what we do. We're happy to be here, and we're happy you're here with us. Joining Darren in the live chat was Scott, Ryan, Eric, Josh G, Jamie, Smitch asking about the core four, and I hope you stuck around for it in the end there. Thomas M as well. It's always good to see everybody alongside Forklift Jeremy. Hopefully you're not out in the cold driving the forklift tonight, man. And if you are, hopefully you're bundled up. It's about to feel like it's 10 degrees here in Central Texas in the morning. That's Mike's weather, right? You're all about that? Yeah,
no.
That's what Mike likes to do that stuff. But bundle me up a little.
I'm even more miserable than I am already.
Trust me, guys and girls, you don't want Mike to be even more miserable than he already is. So let's make sure that you stay warm if it's cold where you are. Stay warm if you're stay cold if you're warm where you are, wherever it is. Oh, Forklift Jeremy's on vacation. Good stuff. You too, Jamie. Have a great night.
Thanks for jumping in,
everybody.
Jamie.
Ryan, thanks for the kind words. We appreciate you for saying that and dropping all that stuff in the live chat as well. Make sure you push all those buttons, like and subscribe on your way out if you have not already done that. We gained quite a few subs tonight, just live. We gained a bunch after Mike's LBL the other night. A few of you breadheads hung out with me. I did a solo show. What night was that? Sunday night?
Yeah,
Mike?
dude, you crushed it on Sunday. Like I was like, is that Colin Cowherd or is that Jay Heinrich? Like,
well,
on here, dude.
that one time,
awesome.
that one time I met him and hugged him and took a picture with him, and he might have rubbed off a little bit on me. Maybe I'm just saying.
Hey,
it's like,
one thing we should do, Jay, is not get this bread, but we should. Well, somebody can get the bread while we do this. Is we should set up, and I think I'll do this right now as soon as we get off. For you guys that are still paying attention or watching the show later on, is we'll do another one and done invitational. Man, that was a lot of fun. So
Nice.
yeah, I'll start that up and we'll toss a link either in the comments and also on our Twitter. We'll see. We filled pretty quickly last time, 25. I think I'll put it up to like 30, maybe 40. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, all good. I'm always happy to hear about an old one and done invitational over on DK. So make sure you're following us on the socials at One and Done CBB to get the link for that. We'll put it out on Twitter, I'm sure, as soon as it's ready. So make sure you're following us over there, as well as for the breaking news that we try to help out with, get to you, quote tweeting some stuff, getting some opinions out, getting you some last minute information as we can. But most importantly, hit that like and subscribe button here on YouTube and show us some love, man. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. We are not getting to 50 below like the Dakotas, like Jamie, but we are trying to get 5K on a Wednesday, and we can only do it with all hands on deck here, including at Fantasy Nav and those Twitter streets, who's pushing the buttons tonight, who hopped in mid-show to help us get all those good graphics up that he's so good at. We appreciate Eric the Blue for doing that. We appreciate our guy Napesy Hustle. I appreciate El Capitan himself at MC Holland 34 on X. That's Mike Holland, the OG Money Mike. And I am at Dr. William Cannon over on Elon's Hell. I'll follow you back. I've been known to hit that follow back button. So make sure you do that as well. Take care of yourselves. Tell somebody that you love them. Get out there. 5K to first on a Wednesday. My name is JayHeinRich. Come again. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.